into my Facebook.
Yeah, you probably we'll figure it next time.
Okay. Well, we're live, right?
Here we are. Welcome, welcome. Free Coaching Friday or Fun Coaching Friday. We've been having some interesting conversations. I'm going to let Daniela kick it off today because I've been kind of in an interesting mood, and this is a perfectly interesting topic.
Yes. Hello, people. Hello, followers. Welcome to the Jen and Daniela show. Happens most Fridays
Yep.
around the 1 o'clock hour. And we like to talk about horses and people with horses and what they're doing with their horses. And so today, our conversation, I don't have the blurb that you wrote, but I'm going to go off of memory, is about asking permission from the horse before you do anything. And what does that look like? And why do we do that? What is it all about? What is this equine assisted empowerment that Jen and I are always talking about? Well, to break it down, horses empowering people, right? Well, how are they doing that? They're doing it when we are respecting their boundaries, when we are asking them permission to engage with them. That in turn creates a relationship that is built on trust, built on understanding. And how is that empowering? Well, let's
Aren't all of
see.
our relationships like that? I mean, you could go down the same list for people. And I love that we bring up this topic because when we talk about equine assisted empowerment or learning or whatever you want to facilitated learning, however you want to put it, it's so important to notice the parallels. When I went to my first Tony Robbins event, I was like, oh, it's like this. And that, oh, well, horses are like that. Oh, this is like that. And I kept seeing every step of the way. And as I got further down the rabbit hole, I started meeting people like Daniela that were like had experiences with horses that were a little bit more than riding. And that was the big piece. That's where this conversation we talk a lot in the mornings. And we start talking about permission and why do we use a bit or why do we ride the horse? Why do we ride? I mean, like these days, is it fun for the horse? Are we asking the right questions when we go into the barn? I have a good friend of mine, and I love her dearly, and there's nothing wrong necessarily with what she's doing externally, but she goes and she rides and enjoys her horse. She doesn't really necessarily understand what it takes to ask permission to get on its back. If you don't have permission to be up there, you might not be up there on your own accord for very long, especially on the
Right.
long horse. So asking for permissions is just as critical with the horse as it is with each other.
Well, and I think the beautiful thing about, anyone who's come to Artemis Hill or has heard of me probably knows at this point that everything I do with my guys is on the ground. I know when people come to you, they do have an opportunity to potentially get on after they've built a relationship with the horse, learned how to communicate, and then they get on and ride, right? But me, I don't even take it that far. I'm like, you can't get on my horses. You have to prove to me that you're worthy, and then I'll send you to Jen and you can go get on her horses, right? But but I think the beautiful piece about that is that when we're on the ground, it's all about asking permission,
Yeah.
because for the most part, leave my guys to be as free as possible. A lot of the interactions that I give people are with horses that are at liberty, meaning I don't have a halter on them. I'm not leading them around with a lead rope. We're not in a round pen. I do a lot of stuff because I'm a big fan of keeping it simple and basic. I do a lot of stuff where we're just hanging out with them. We're observing them. We're understanding what the dynamic is. And when we do engage, it naturally occurs that there's now an ask, like, can I approach you? Can I enter your barrier, your bubble, right? Because when we pay close enough attention, you and I know it, but a lot of people may not. When you're in the presence of these animals, or really, I would say any animal, there's nonverbal cues that they're giving you.
Yep.
And you're either in tuned enough to understand what those cues are meaning, or you're oblivious and you're completely blowing past whatever thresholds those animals have. So for horses, It could be as simple as we're approaching and he's looking at me and all of a sudden he's looking away. And it's like, okay, he doesn't want me to come any closer maybe right now. So let me stop. And if I'm not sure, let me still stop and wait and see. And that in itself is also asking permission. Like, okay, can I come closer? Can I approach you? Are you open to interacting with me? And I mean, you've talked about this a lot, where what I've been doing a lot lately is I don't even approach the horses when people are here. I will enter the vicinity of where they are, and then I'll say to whoever's with me, we're just going to stay right here. And we're going to see who comes over, who wants to engage. And that's
Yep.
asking permission on a bigger scale, because it's like, hey, who wants to play with me today, right? That's essentially what we're asking just by being there. And then it gives them the decision to decide, do I want to go and interact with her and whoever that person is, right? And
Exactly.
they don't always come over, right?
Nope.
Some do, some don't. And so it's an interesting observation when you start looking at it that way, to understand what they're saying. Because it's listen, a lot of these animals, yes, they're big. Yes, they are strong. Yes, they can hurt you. But you would be surprised at how many people are manhandling these guys on a regular basis, and they're not getting permission, but they're doing it anyway.
Yes.
So,
And like I said, it's no fault of their own. And then back to the tools and everything we were talking about this morning. But a lot of people, they just go out. And I mean, I did it when I was young, when I was in my 20s, and we went to a Caribbean island. I rode a horse on the beach. Looking back on that, I go, oh my God, the bit I had in his mouth, the saddle that was on his back, the way I treated. I mean, just knowing what I know now, I look back on it. And I've had people come through my program. I had a woman that'd been in professional racing for 34 years. And this is where we were talking about, having compassion for people that are manhandling or being heavy-handed or doing things that we now see with the new lens of vision that we have about what's actually happening. So and she said, she came through my program and she was in tears by the end of it. She's like, I had no idea horses could be like this. And for 3.5 decades, I've been treating horses like this, and I'm like, yeah. And to me, like, there's, and now the more that we dive down this journey and really keep peeling back the lens and looking deeper and getting clearer, the more we say, let's wait to see if the horse wants to come to us. Let's go into a bigger space instead of just their stall. Because can we go and get there, get them out of a stall? Sure. It's a lot easier than a 30-acre field. Like Daniela's space, she has big open fields where she is with these horses, and they can go down the hill and around the woods and they don't have to be with her. So to figure out, like, to take that and to get where does the one world and the second world come together to make that third world? How big is the rings of communication and connection? And every year I have like a little obsession, and 1 year it was liberty, 1 year it was like trailer loading, and this past year has been about boundaries. Well, this one particular year, it was about working at distance. Like, how far away could I be and still energetically influence my horse's behavior and have a connection, not just to ask him to go away, but to bring him in my circle enough that he was attracted to me, and do it like at a canter and on command and at will. Right. And sometimes, and at liberty as well. So, sometimes with a rope, sometimes without a rope. I've delved into this, like, so I have these little obsessions that I'm always working on. And now asking permission after a year worth of helping all of my clients and participants and everybody, myself, work on boundaries, like, get off. Now, how about like asking permission and start working on get in? Like, you could, we have permission to be in each other's space. I've been saying, this for all year, and establishing this. But now let's soften them. Let's work on the draw,
Mhm.
and that's where the permissions come into play.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting, and I recognize that, like, a lot of people Because we've all done this, right? We've all been in that space where we don't know what we don't know, right? And we do whatever we think is right with that level of information. But then when you have knowledge that expands your awareness on it, you can't, it's hard to go back now, right? Because you can't
Yes,
unsee what you've seen. So
that's right.
so now, I mean, I still have moments where I'm so affectionate, just naturally an affectionate person, and I want to snuggle up and hug these guys on a regular basis, you know? And so I guess I want people to understand that as much as I am adamant about asking the permission and respecting the horse's boundaries, and I understand it, I still have to work through it too, because I still have those moments where, like, I just want to squeeze little Oliver's face and snuggle the shit out of him, right? Because he's so freaking cute. But I can see when he's had enough of me and he's like, I don't want you to touch me right now. Like, I know I'm the
Mhm.
cutest thing alive, but can you just stop touching me? And
But he's, and he's a pretty tolerant character. You do
oh,
that with Tuesday,
oh no.
she will come at you like a spider monkey, you know, and
And
it's
so it's an ongoing thing, is my point. I think that it's something that the more you're aware of it, the more you become aware of it, the more you start to practice it, the more you start to notice more and more. Because now I used to walk up to him, kneel down, put my hand, and as soon as he touched me, it was like I'm all in, right? But now I've realized, right? Because we have that conversation. How many people don't know the proper, or we call it proper, whatever? It's our way, right? The way that we want to say hello to a horse is again asking permission, putting the hand out, waiting for them to sniff it, seeing if they make contact. If they don't, respecting that and not touching them too. But if they do, then being like, okay, now I can pet you.
exactly.
But I was taking it with Oliver, like I said, to the level of like, oh, his whisker touched my knuckle. I'm coming in for a hug and a snuggle.
Come on in here, get me.
So now I'm paying even more close attention to him, because I want these animals to look at me as more than just a Pez dispenser, right? I want to have that level of respect.
So
So,
true.
so I realize now that his ears immediately are like, moving back when I'm coming in. And so I'm like, okay, buddy. All right. And so I'm getting better at understanding his cues now, right? Because at first I almost wasn't taking him seriously because he's just a little snuggle butt and he's so freaking cute. And he is tolerant. He will let me snuggle the crap out of him probably for a long time before he gets so annoyed that he's more like
His
his
horses are so tolerant. They are
dude.
so tolerant.
I think
And
his personality is more of like a grin and bear it for as long as he can. Whereas, like you said, Tuesday's like, don't you even look at me with that thought. Like she's like ready to give you a little swift kick in the shin, but just for thinking about snuggling her. Forget
yeah,
about actually moving in.
yeah,
So, but now I'm already noticing, just with that simple little thing, how much more he's becoming affectionate to me,
yeah.
because I've been respecting him more. Like, just this morning, he's in the stall. I walked over. I just put my little face in front of his little face, and I just said, "Good morning, my love." And he inched in and he sniffed my whole nose and he sniffed my face and he nibbled my chin and he would, like, he gave me the snuggliest little nuzzle all over my face. It was the cutest thing. And that was it. And I was like, "Oh, great, great. Thanks. Bye." Like, I didn't feel the need to go in and do all those things, because now we're reaching more of an understanding. And like, how beautiful is that? Whereas before I was basically begging, like, come on, you want to touch me? Come on, touch me. Let me touch you. Right. But so it was like kind of asking permission, but not to the level that sometimes they need it. Right. And then when they start to recognize, it's so cool. It's so cool when they start to see that you actually understand what they're saying. And then they start communicating more. I mean, it's hysterical now the way Bourbon is like demands me to like scratch him and certain spots. And I mean, he's got no problem shoving his butt in my face and lifting his tail and being like, "You gonna get in there?" Like, it's so like, that's how not that that's what we're all working towards, is to scratch a
No,
horse's ass. But
no, let's definitely not teach him to do that. That's not a good when he puts his butt in your face, it would be a good idea for you to not reward that behavior, because, frankly speaking, because Trace, my girlfriend did this one time, and Trace is a one-time learner. He's super smart like that. You teach him once and that's it. So he put his butt in her face and she scratched it, and then she made a big deal about it because she knew she was being a pain in the ass. She's like, haha, good luck getting him to stop doing that. And I was like, you piece of crap. You just trained my horse to throw his butt in people's face. And some people are scared of horses, especially the back end. So if you got a horse that's doing that, you got to make sure everybody knows he's just coming in for a scratch, we promise. And that's just the key piece of what he's communicating to you is something that's very different than what he's communicating to them, not because he's doing a different behavior or even having a different intention, but because you, as the receiver of the communication, know the translation and know how to translate the language because of based on your belief systems of maybe a horse kicked somebody else at some point, and they're like, a horse coming in hot with their booty, no thanks. So, and it's interesting too, because we talk about Tuesday, and she don't like you, she will tell you. And I don't ever want to knock that out of her, except for me, because I am her mama. So when she goes to nip me, I just am like, oh yeah, you want to play that game? And then it's game on. And then I play at her level. And then I get in there and I scratch her, and then I wrestle her, and then we play. But it's different. And then yeah, oh my gosh, you're like, yeah, I grab her by the back leg when she's running, and I'm trying to, she's like, she pulled me into the mud. She's running on 3 legs, and I got her by the back leg, and I'm like, get back here.
Can you please record that next time? Because
it's not easy, man. I'm like, what, running with a pork chop, and she's trying to bite me. And I mean, we just get carried. But you can't, not everybody can play with her at that level, but that's her, and that's what she respects. And I don't want to knock that out of her so she can give the general public a petting zoo. I don't
that's why I love that all my horses are still somewhat wild. I like them to have a little bit of the wild. First of all, because I don't want them to feel like workhorses either, right? I like them to have as much of a natural lifestyle as possible. It's why I'm not filling my property with 1 million horses, even though it's a big property. I want these guys to be able to roam, to be able to go from this paddock.
Well, and I've threatened you within an inch of your life that you do not get any more horses.
Well, that too. But even that too. But even if I did, I still wouldn't want to like I wouldn't want to bring on more than maybe 1 or 2 more horses max. Because when you were here with your 4, that was max capacity. That was there was a suffocation there. The grasses weren't being able to, we couldn't rotate properly because there was someone in every paddock. So I'm blessed to have enough space that I can do this now. And I would love to keep it that way.
And I think that more people with that attitude would actually have a better and more enlightened experience with a horse. We're not here to do that. We're not going to turn Tuesday into a petting thing. I mean, I take her to events and I'll do all kinds of crazy shit, but she loves that. She loves getting in the car and going. And by the way, I'm going to be posting a fundraiser for her harness so she can start pulling her cart again. She loves having a job. So being all in a natural space but giving them something that they enjoy doing, and I look at them at horses that, like Maverick, God bless him, physically gorgeous and perfect specimen, that didn't have the brain to be able, or the emotion, to be able to hang in with that lifestyle, because no one ever asked his permission.
Yeah.
No one ever asked him what he wanted or what was important to him. And when he finally started to saying, I can't take this anymore, he got violent and aggressive. And guess what happens to violent, aggressive horses whose permission lines have been crossed for 2 decades, or for however long. I got him when he was 14. So that, and for that length of time to have people force their issues onto you and be, they don't have a choice. These horses don't have any choice except for the choices we make for them. My horses don't decide what kind of hay they want. They tell me, but they don't decide. And so when you look into, working with these animals and caring for them and actually handling them in a way that maintains the dignity and is benevolent and for them, you start communicating at a different level. You start, stepping away from, going and getting them and saddling them and kicking them to go and pulling on the reins to turn and going for a ride. That's
Well, and
that's
I
what
think
it's about.
I think what the missing piece in a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, even a lot of posts that people put up, right, who have horses and they've established that rapport and now they have these videos of them doing certain things with their horses. And I think the missing piece is a lot of times people who don't have a lot of knowledge about these animals is what it took to get to that relationship, right? Like
Right.
I watch these movies and I'll be honest, I never even thought about this kind of stuff before I embarked on this chapter of my life where I decided to do this and I felt so called to do this, right? And learn from you uh and have these experiences now. And I watch a movie and someone's got a horse and they're riding the horse and the horse is doing some insane stuff. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is so funny. Anytime in a movie someone is like, because there's so many of them, of course I can't give you a title, but where like someone is on getting chased and there happens to be a horse sitting there and they'll just right, and they'll just hop on the horse and now take off. And like, I would love to see in reality how that scenario would go down. If you just see a horse, I want to see that stranger try to get on that random horse.
Oh my God, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
the reason I look out the window as well, I have a delivery guy or something showing up here. I don't know. But like I live in an equestrian community. So I'm in South Florida and I live in this beautiful, everything's 5-10 acres. So I live in an area where you could actually do exactly what you're just describing. Like it wouldn't be too hard. But I look out there and I'm like, okay, so the horse is standing there. Is he saddled?
so you know how movies are, right? He's saddled and ready to go. But what I find interesting is that this idea and this, the things we watch, they anything. It's like what's the word? Not brainwashing, but like people are thinking this is reality. Like you can just jump
Of
on a horse,
course.
on the
You go into
horse's
that
go.
suspension of disbelief and your brain, but your brain is still getting wired to
Right.
that spot. Right.
Well, I
Absolutely.
always just find that so amusing because now that I know I
Right.
have horses, I own horses, the work that I've had to put in for them to trust me enough to
Yeah.
get
To
me
even
them,
come over.
right? And so I think the sad part about a lot of these movies, which they don't realize they're doing, is they're creating a belief system that these
Yes.
animals are just going to respond to whoever, whenever, and
Yes.
do anything that you want. And that's
Yep.
just not how it works, right?
Well, that's
So
anthropomorphism. That's the definition of anthropomorphism. And, Disney did it. Disney did it. Like, why doesn't Donald Duck wear pants was an argument for a long time. Dude, he's a duck. Why is he wearing a shirt and a hat? Like that's a better question.
right.
And we dress up our dogs and our little things and that's like a dog clothing companies. That's like $1 billion business. It's
Mhm.
insane how we put our projections onto the horses, onto these animals, our own characteristics into them, and then we want to go up and snuggle them and hug them or tickle them and pork chop them or whatever we're doing to them. And we're like, wait a minute, what about the horse?
Right. Right.
What about the animal? So
I've
I had a really tough experience recently with a client. It doesn't happen very often. I think I've had it happen like once, one other time in over a decade. But she wanted to come and she wanted to play horsey, which is fine, but that's not what I do. No, that doesn't mean I don't adapt, but and we don't play. But we also don't go out there for us. We go out there for the horse. And it got so bad that my horses started getting agitated, and Trace started pork chopping Tuesday, and it was no fun, And so, after that experience, I was really like, I really have to make sure, as a professional and as
Yeah.
the facilitator of these animals who I have stewardship of, and we have stewardship of, they trust us. They trust us for their hoof care, their veterinary care, their dental care, their feed, their environment, every single thing. They are like kids. We have to care for them. And they don't care if it's Christmas. They don't care if it's raining. They don't care about any of those things. They just live life in the present moment. And so I really have to make sure that when I have people out here, that they answer this really very important question. There's several questions I ask that when people walk into the barn, and it's part of my program. And the number one is like, am I here for myself, or am I here for the horse? And smart ass mismatchers will say, well, we're here for both. Yeah, okay. Yes, of course. That's not the spirit of the question. Question is, are you here for you, or are you here for the horse? And if you're saying you're here for both, you're here for you. And if you're here for you, you are always going to find relationships that are tit for tat, that you are horse trading, and that you are measuring who loves whom more, who's going first, who started the fight, when was the last time they did the same thing, and hold an arsenal in your cart that you drag around for years, and you chase your partners away with that information. So think about that when you ask yourself, am I here for the horse, or am I here for me?
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's another question you ask?
What can I do to improve the confidence of this horse? How can I make the situation thus that the horse naturally and elegantly grows its level of confidence in itself, its environment, and me as its leader, our partner? That's a good one. Another one, the good one, and at the end of the day, was it as good for you as it was for me? I love that. My mentor always said that, and I absolutely love that, because when the horse can, when you get off the horse and the horse is like, "Where are you going?" Like, "Where are you going?" You go,
Right,
"Oh,
right.
man." And it's like, you did something right.
I love that, right?
Going back
Because
for more.
I love that, because how often can anyone say that that happens when they get off a horse? Especially people who are going we can't even actually put that into the people who are just going for like one-off rides, right? That because you're not connecting with that horse at
No,
all.
that
They
horse
are
is just a robot.
That's
He's
right.
just
That
a
horse is
prostitute. Yep.
especially trail rides, you don't even have to be on that horse. He knows that trail so well because that's all he's doing day in and day out. You don't even have to direct him. He's just going to go the way he knows to go. And actually, good luck trying to direct one of those horses.
Yeah.
Right? To get
That's
off
when you
course.
get into trouble. When you start trying to mess with them, and instead of just enjoying the ride. You guys, if you guys go on, they're called nose to tails. So if you ever go on a nose to
So
tail,
true.
yeah,
So true.
because they put their nose on the horse's tail in front of them. Like, that's the industry term for
Yeah.
I don't even know what else to call them.
Right.
I call them nose to tails. So you go on these nose to tails, and if you try and fuck with them too much, that's when shit happens. And what happens is, on the way out, I remember going on when I was a kid, and I was like, go, kick, kick. And so then I would hold it back as long as I could, as hard with my little arms, until the horse in front of it got far enough away. And then I would let go of the reins, and I'd be like, go, go, go. And all he was trying to do was catch up with his buddy,
You were such a little jerk. Oh my gosh.
Hey, I figured it out. I got what I wanted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to. No,
But it's true. But that's using the psychology of the horse against it to get something for yourself.
Right. Right.
you know? And that's in those scenarios, there's ways that you can break those. But man, you guys, if you go to a nose to tail, just let the horses be. Don't mess with them. You want to go do something different, come visit us. You want to actually see, this is where it really gets me. You want to see what's behind the curtain. You want to see the wizard behind the curtain. You really want to understand the secret language of horses. Because when you understand the secret language of horses, you understand certain secrets of your own soul. And when I said, oh, you go into the barn, are you asking, are you going there for the horse? Are you going there? And this is what you can say. Are you going to this relationship to give? Or are you going to this
Mm.
relationship to give?
Hmm.
And if you say, well, I'm going in for both, then you're going in it to give enough that that's what turns you into the prostitute. And just like any of those other nose to tails, all you want is what's in front of you. And so when you can relax that side of your ego and trust that when you go in there to give to these animals, there's a part of your brain waves that relaxes your autonomic nervous system, a part of your heart rhythms that can align and create coherence within yourself and have a connection with an animal that's already in a theta brainwave state and can feel your heartbeat up to 4 feet away. And when you step into that level of coherence and listen and get still, because that's
Oh,
where the waters run deep, you could hear the whispers of the horse. And it's no accident that it rhymes with source, because horses are a lightning rod to source. So when you hear those whispers, think about where else this shows up in your life. Whatever this horse is telling you, whatever he or she has to say, is showing up in other areas where you might have a blind spot or a mask of fear that you're wearing, that you can go inward with the benevolence and compassion that the spirit of these beautiful equine can give you and heal that part of yourself so you can have better relationships, be a better lover, and be a better leader, and just an overall better human being.
so beautiful.
Take that, Chat GPT.
I'm sure ChatGPT would make it even more beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Mic drop.
it was
But it's
glorious,
true.
and it is all so true. And sadly, there's not many that I know of. I'm sure there's people out there who are giving the same experience as we are, but at the same time, it's far and few between, because I know around here, I even if you go to a sanctuary, there's still protocol people are following. There's still, whereas this is my place, I could do whatever I want,
Mhm.
and I let people hang out. I mean, we've talked about how you've even said, like, a lot of places wouldn't allow their horses to have the freedom that my horses have.
No way. No way. And it's
And
not the freedom from but like, let's be clear for any insurance adjusters that are watching. It's not free that we let them run wild. It's free in that we create a safe container for all species and beings to be in, so we can relax our brains that are required to think and feel and act a certain way for 5 minutes of your life. My God, who wouldn't want to come out and just feel free and non-judged and relaxed and calm and accepted and connected?
yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I can tell you from my experience, all the places I've ever gone, where I've ever ridden or had lessons or volunteered or whatever it is, there's a lot of safety rules, which there should be, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of places have safety rules to avoid injury. But if you just pay enough attention and know your horses and know.
Dude, that's the same in life.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
the same
Like,
in life. If you pay attention, you stay conscious, you stay present and in the moment, you come from a space of giving and gratitude, guess what? The universe, you'll be the universe whisperer. Not.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been getting this message over just this conversation over and over and over, like surrender, surrender. And like boundaries were last year, it's surrender this year. It's just permissions and surrender and putting myself in a space that it's like, it's okay. You're okay.
Mm.
You know, you can relax now. Your struggle is over. You can be at peace with yourself. You know, just being out with the horses like reminds me of that so much. So much. So if you are in the South Florida area or you're up in the Hudson Valley area, in New York, we have 2 locations, and we would love to have you come and visit us. We have some retreats coming up in January and throughout the spring. So it doesn't matter if you like it cold or you like it hot. We got them both. Heat miser and freeze miser.
I love that.
That is so fun. I love it. So yes, come and visit us, experience one of our weekends. And oh, I should say these at the beginning. If you're watching this for the first time, please drop us a comment and let us know so we can introduce ourselves to you. If you've been watching us for a while, please throw us a little heart and let us know that you're still in our awareness. And if you're watching the replay, just drop a hashtag replay in the comments so we know that who is watching and so we can see who all of our beautiful stories are touching. So thank you very much for that. And reach out if you'd love to come and experience this in person. Very much. All right, you guys. Thanks for playing. Have an amazing. Anything else you'd like to add, Daniela?
No, I think that was beautiful. I think take this message with you. And if you haven't thought about asking permission, not just with horses, but maybe even with people in your life, maybe think about that a little and start and see how that can alter any relationship that you're in, you know.
I love it.
Hi, Babar Saeed said hi. Nice to watch you live. Thanks.
Oh, good. I'm glad you can see the comments. That's awesome. Well, that's amazing. All right, you guys, we'll see you next Friday and pretty much every Friday on Free Coaching, Fun Coaching Friday. And make sure to follow us on our Instagrams and social medias because we have all kinds of cool stuff on there too. Take care.